I'm looking through a very, very narrow square window and a giant, giant dot. So the dot size doesn't change. It stays the same, but because the optic is so much further away from me, away from my eyes, it gets smaller. So basically I have this view. So I'm just like looking through this tiny little thing. If I bring it close to me, I'll have a better field of view. If it's far away from me, it's gonna be like that. Welcome back to another beautiful day here at Classic Firearms. I'm Kaya. Today we're going to talk about should you mount your optic or scope on the handguard of your pistol or rifle. This question was recently asked to us and we were like, why not make a quick video about it? I've got 3 rifles over here and the optics on these rifles are positioned in different locations. First I've got the IWI Galil here, and as you can tell, we've got the optic mounted as far forward as we can on the handguard. Exaggerated a little bit, but believe it or not, I actually have seen a couple of rifle setups with an optic right here like this on Google. Like I've seen some photos. Let's talk about the downsides. When you have your optic mounted on the handguard, well, in this case, as far forward as possible, you're going to have field of view issues. You're going to have a harder time to pick up the dot. So you have your rifle right here and you bring it up. Here, I see the reticle, the dot right here. And when I see that, I'm looking through a very, very narrow square window and a giant, giant dot. So the dot size doesn't change. It stays the same, but because the optic is so much further away from me, away from my eyes, it gets smaller. So basically I have this view. So I'm just like looking through this tiny little thing. If I bring it close to me, I'll have a better field of view. If it's far away from me, it's gonna be like that. So when I bring this up, believe it or not, yeah, I see the dot. I have a hard time lining it up dead center, and it is just so small. So if I have a target, I can see my target, but I'm seeing this giant optic. I can't avoid it. So my field of view is that narrow. That's one downside of it. And another one is obviously it's on a handguard. Being on a handguard, for sure, there's nothing out there. Like it's gonna shift. When you fire the rifle, depending on the caliber, they're very violent. Everything moves, and your handguard is gonna move. You're gonna lose your zero. For these reasons, I would not recommend mounting your optic on your handguard. Even if you mount it right here, fine. You're gonna have a better field of view. You're not gonna have the issues that I just described over here, but zero, you're still gonna lose it. So I would not recommend it. And it also looks goofy, doesn't it? Ryan, what do you think? Looks goofy, right?
Very goofy.
Yeah. All right, putting this away. Let's move on to another setup over here. Now in this case, we have the optic. I've got the SIG MCX Spear LT 762x39 version over here. And as you can tell, this optic is mounted as close to the rear as possible. I'm having a hard time operating the charging handle here because the optic is in the way, right? So that's one downside of it, but why shouldn't you go as far back as possible? Well, because now the field of view issues aren't really there. Oh, you know what? I wanted to go back to that Galil thing. With the Galil, you're going to, the only upside is, you know, before I move forward, the only upside here is, yeah, you've got your peripheral, like you can see around you so much better. This area is wide open. So yes, when I have the rifle up here, I can see everything. But you know what? Yes, I understand. In a tactical world, you do want to see, you do want to have that situational awareness. But what's more important to me is my target. I want to be able to accurately pick up that dot as fast as possible and have a good field of view to identify my targets and actually engage. It's very important. Anyways, moving on to the SIG MCX Spear LT. In this case, it's so close to my face. Like it is in my face. The charging handle thing is a con, right? You don't want that. And it's right here. Yes, I can see the dot just fine through the glass. Got a pretty good field of view, but because it is right in my face, it kind of blocks my peripheral a little bit. So I'm having a hard time with my peripheral vision. So it'll affect my situational awareness a little bit because this is right in my face. And at the same time, if you want to put a magnifier right behind this, like a 3x, something like that, well, you can't do that because you have no real estate left over here. So with that being said, put this thing down. Yeah, you're not gonna be zero issues with this thing because it's gonna be on the receiver, but that's the downside. Let's move on to Daniel Defense DDM4. And in this case, I have the optic set up exactly where I normally put my optic on my pistol or rifle. And I believe it's like the perfect position for me. If I wanted to add a magnifier, I can add it right here. Or if I don't, it's just right here. So when I bring the gun up, I can see the reticle just fine. And I have a really good field of view. Everything is very clear. I'm target focused over here. Yeah, the optic is right there, but it's kind of blurred out. I'm really focused on the dot and my target right there. And I have plenty of real estate for me to have that situational awareness, my peripheral. That is really about it. That's all I can say. So to each his own, whatever you do, just train with it. There's pros and cons to everything, as we talked about, having it really far forward mounted. Yeah, you're gonna have better peripheral, but boy, in my opinion, there's a lot of downsides to it. Back in the day, some special ops guys, some really highly regarded guys did mount it, their optics far forward a little bit, but over time that changed. Now guys who really know what they're doing, they actually have their optic mounted somewhere on the receiver where they're not going to lose their zero, and they'll have a pretty good amount of field of view, and yet they'll still have the situational awareness that they need to be able to be safe, stay safe.
Don't forget about the looks, you know.
Oh, you know what? Ryan, you nailed it. In my opinion, come on guys. This one looks really tactical, doesn't it? Oh yeah. That's about it, guys. I'm sure some of you guys will mention about the monolithic upper where you're not gonna have any zero issues, but guys, you're still gonna have this field of view issues that I mentioned with this Galil, IWI Galil. You're gonna have that problem. So losing zero is one of the downsides. Another one is, as I told you about, the field of view, picking up that dot and just having this thing too far forward and just narrowing everything down for you. That's about it. What do you guys think? You guys agree with this, disagree? How do you guys run your AR or pistol setup? And why do you run it that way?